everyone, welcome to another episode of Lapetina Presents. I have a special guest from the United Kingdom. His name is Dara. He's a music, lyrics composer and also an amazing performance. Also, he has a record label with the name Kusha Deep Label. Also, he's a radio host in so many places in the United States, United Kingdom and Ireland. Let's learn more about him in this interview. All right. Hi Dara. Thank you for being on my show.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
Good. Thank you. I'm very honored to have you on my show as well. Nice to see you again. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's always a pleasure. I love reaching the wonderful people of Mexico.
Awesome. And because I'm in McAllen, Texas, and Tamaulipas, Mexico, so I'm broadcasting in both sides,
Oh, wonderful.
and I feel very. I love to connect people worldwide, and I feel very happy that we are in 3 radio stations working together: Radio
Yeah.
Illuminate, Rock Steady 94, and Tomorrow Radio. I'm so proud for that.
Yeah. I think they're very, very lucky to have you, actually, to be fair, because we don't get enough perspective from Mexico in Europe, so it's lovely to have you as a part of that, and a lovely surprise when I found Martina told me about you and stuff. So we're very lucky to have you broadcasting and doing what you do. English audiences should be and will be very appreciative of what you do.
Oh, thank you so much. And also, I feel very, I appreciate a lot of Martina. She was there to encourage me to be in radio shows, and then I continue with the podcast. And then later, I met Leslie, and she was very kind to invite me to allow me to be part of the team or Rock Steady 94. And then I met Andrea, with a wonderful person. So I feel very blessed to be part of this beautiful team.
Sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, and Martina is she's a great individual, great radio person in terms of actually encouraging people to do things and do these shows with people that, not yourself included, but other people who haven't had much experience are getting a shot, which is really cool.
Yes, Martina, but now she has experience in radio, but also in the film industry, because she's been helping, for example, Howard Ford, the filmmaker Howard Ford, and she's been collaborating as a volunteer, but also in many radio stations. But you know better than me because you know her longer time than me. So yes, and she's also like a mentor. So I'm very blessed that I met her. She's my friend. I feel very blessed.
She's got a lot of vision and a lot of drive, So yeah, I mean, as I say, it's cool. She didn't put a lot of pressure on you either, which is cool. So I kind of like, because I'm not a regular, like I can't knock a show out every week, week in, week out. So she's very sort of understanding. Some radio stations like, where's your show? And I'm like, dude, I've been doing my roof. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've been fixing my roof. I haven't just had time to do it. So, but she's very cool on that level, you know what I mean? She's like, oh no, we'll just play reruns, you know what I mean? We're all good, and then, I'll get around to doing a new one this weekend.
Exactly. No, but the key to be successful is to be consistent. It's not focusing how many audience you have, it's just be consistent where you love, and then with the time is perfect and everything will become at the right time. So in other words, what I believe that God's time is perfect, so the success time it would need to be arrived is gonna come without no doubt. Okay, Dara, I have a question for you. Does Dara is your artistic or is your full name? Is your artistic name?
No, it's my my kind of my pseudonym, as it were. My actual Christian name is DAR.RA, spelled slightly differently with a AGH on the end. But I just made it slightly smaller because people sometimes can't quite get their head around it. Do you understand what I'm saying? With the AGH, which is the Irish Gaelic kind of vibe, they, particularly growing up in England, sort of in our Irish name, it was always very difficult for people to get their heads around it. Do you know what I mean? So I thought I'd just make it easy and just DAR.RA, Dara, and then that's really what it was about.
I have difficulties to pronounce your name as Dara. DAR.RA.
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 Yes.
DAR.RA. The
Yes.
books that I put out, I mean, I've written a couple of books as well. They've gone out as my full DA, you know, Dara J. Brady, you know. So yeah, so I do go out under that for sort of writing things, but the music sort of just seems to sit with the DAR.RA at the moment. I suppose there probably would be a bit of confusion with that. Are they two different people? But then, you know, at the same time, I do feel like I'm quite multi-personality. Do you know what I mean? So, so be it. Let's have lots of pseudonyms. I mean, a lot of people work under a lot of pseudonyms, so it is what it is. Life's too short to worry really about, you know, kind of whatever disguise you're wearing.
So you have 30 years of in the music industry, and what inspired you to be a music writer and musician?
I think like music was kind of a part of my life. Like early on, my mum got me involved in music. You know, she bought me a drum kit at sort of 10 years old, and you know, and then helped me get a studio when I was like 15, 16, and then I got signed to EMI 19, 20 years old, something like that. And then, you know, from then on in, I was just sitting in studios pretty much all my life, really. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of, yeah, I just didn't really, I was so passionate about it, even to today, you know. I just didn't, at one stage of the game, I just didn't want to do anything else. So I was really happy making records, sitting in studios, like, you know, even when I went down to Sydney, and, you know, most people are kind of like, you know, they're on the beach, man. I was in like a studio with no windows making records for festival records, do you know what I mean? And BMG and stuff. And, you know, and I remember being up in Byron Bay and everyone's surfing up there and, you know, just having the time of their lives. And I went up to Byron the first time, and it was, you know, it was a beautiful sort of experience. And I get this telephone call from the record label saying, we need you back in Sydney because we've got this remix we need you to do. I think it was for Tears for Fears, Mad World. And yeah, so basically, you know, while my girlfriend and everyone else is having a great time, I said, look, I've got to get back to Sydney. Do you know what I mean? So I've gone literally back on a bus, which was like a 12-hour journey back to Sydney on a bus, just to get back in the studio to work, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's just always been part of my gig that's always been like passionate. So yeah, while other people are playing, I'm sort of working kind of idea. Not that I'm sort of a slave to the groove, but I enjoy doing it, you know what I mean? So that's why I'm in the game still. I'm in the game still, and a lot of people aren't. A lot of people kind of like would have got dropped from kind of, you know, getting dropped from EMI when you're like 22 or 3 or whatever would have been like the last port of call for them. They would have given up and got a job on a building site. But I just felt I didn't really care whether I was signed to a major record company or whether all I wanted to do was just get back in the studio and make another record, which is what I did. As soon as that happened, I was like, I took my advance money from EMI and went straight back in the studio and paid for another record, and then got another deal with it. So, you know, that was London though in the 90s. You could come out of record deals like one out of another. You know, came out of that and got a deal with Warner. You know what I mean? So yeah, you could do that. It was a lot easier then. I mean, because people had a lot. Record industry had money then, so you could get advances. You could get like, you know, even the pitiful advances were like, you know, £3,000, £4,000 or whatever for a single, which just kept you going for a little while. Do you know what I mean? And you get the royalties off the back of that, and you go off and do another thing over there, and you know, there was sort of quite good money. Even down in Sydney, you know, making like 2K a mix. You know what I'm saying? That'd be quite good. That's still quite good now, 2K a mix. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, people are getting like £100 a mix now. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like, things were like there, and now they're like there. People are working for a lot less money. How does that make sense? But that's not just in music. That's across the board. I mean, I talk to people that are saying, "Well, actually, you know, I've got my girlfriend's a kid who's like 20 years old now. She's working for like £6 an hour in a hotel. Well, I was getting that when I was 15 in the 80s. I mean, how has that happened? You know, with all this progress, people are still being exploited wage-wise. It's really odd. Do you know what I mean? It's really odd. It's like, you know, prices have done that. They've gone all the way up. You know, you try and buy a house for like you can't buy a house in the UK for under sort of 300,000, which would be sort of like something like 400,000 US.
Yes.
to buy a house here. That's what I'm talking even in down the south. It's expensive. So when you've got people that are starting out on £6 an hour, how are they supposed to even afford to get their groceries? Do you see what I'm saying? It's just
yes. I thought the minimum wage in UK was £7.25 or £7.45 an hour.
Absolutely, but they exploit the fact that she's under 21. Because that's the minimum wage of 21. Why? See what? Now this is another question, and I don't want to get too far off point. But what is the difference between a 15 or a 16-year-old person doing a job than a 21-year-old who's doing exactly the same job but being paid double what they? How's that fair? Do you know what I'm saying? It's not. It's not fair at all. And I think that people need to kind of look at balancing the wages with the rising costs. Do you know what I'm saying? Give a man and a woman fair day's pay for a fair day's work and respect them. You know what I mean?
Yes. And besides your voice, what other instrument you have besides your voice? Do you play another instrument?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I can pretty much play anything from obviously your straight up guitar, bass, drums, pianos, obviously vocals. What else can I play? It depends what it is, really. Most string instruments, I can pretty much get a tune out of. Spoons, I can play the spoons.
I see. And how you came out with the record label, the Kusha Deep Label? Yes.
Yeah. I was coming back from Australia in like 2003, 4. And I'd run a record label before in the UK, and I was coming back from Australia, and I just felt I had a lot of projects that were all scattered about, and I thought I really want to create an umbrella for things. And I was in Bangkok coming back from Australia to London, and I was reading a book on Vedic culture, and there was this bit on what the Vedic Indians used to call Africa was Kusha. Land of the tall grass in Sanskrit, Kusha Deep. And I just went, whoa, that's a great name. Do you know what I mean? And I like jotted that down. I thought, I'm going to use that somewhere along the line. And I thought, Kusha Deep was just a really cool production company name. And, I think we have to kind of tip our hat to Africa because, isn't it? It was the kind of, the birthplace of, rhythmic music, really, to a degree, wasn't it? So yeah, that what I do is mainly rhythmic kind of orientated. That it's a good nod to say thanks to kind of Africa as well. You know what I'm saying? For the inspiration. Yes. You know what I mean?
They have very, very beautiful traditional music, and there's a lot of musicians nowadays they are bringing their African influence and their music styles, which is very good. I like it. And can you tell us
No, I was just going to say, if you think about Africa, it's just incredible. It blow your mind because, there's so many different flavors that come from Africa. You know what I'm saying? From Kenya to kind of, South Africa, all the way up to sort of Algiers and Morocco. You think about it, it's colossal. I mean, I know you've got a lot of cool music in South and Central America, but there is just, like for instance, south of Morocco in the deserts, you've got the desert out there. Is it Sahara? The Sahara Desert. You've got this like desert, what they call desert blues, and it's just incredible. It's really hypnotic guitar grooves that are just really cool stuff. So yeah, amazing vibe. Lots. I don't think we hear enough of it in Europe, to be fair.
I see. And can you tell us about the Haunted Dancehall that was used for the feature in Hollywood? They're starting with Hilary, Duff. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so basically Haunted Dancehall was a track on an album I did in 2008 called Soul Hours, and it was a kind of reggae clash orientated kind of track. I put out, previously to the album coming out, I put it out as a single. There was some really cool remixes. There was like an Asian underground remix on there from Alpha X, which was really cool as well. And I put this record out and did a promotion to college radio in America, and somebody, a music supervisor who was connected to ABC Films, heard it and asked if I could give them the rights to use it for a film starring Hilary Duff. And it was, you know, I'm still getting paid for it today, actually. I'm still, because it's shown all around the world, like Vietnam and all the rest of it. So, yeah, I mean, to be fair, I'll be honest with you, I never saw the film. I've seen clips of it, but yeah, it looked cool. It was called Beauty in the Briefcase, I think, and yeah, and it was an ABC sort of film that was kind of did very, very well around the world for them. And I've had various other kind of records on, you know, Snakes on Planes and a few other kind of films in the US. But yeah, that was cool, and you know, it was nice to work with that team, and sort of, yeah, kind of tick that one off. So yeah, it's a cool little tune. It's a really cool little reggae track, Haunted Dancehall, all about basically, you know, when you split up with someone and everything just reminds you of that person, you know, so you'll go out and you go to a dance or whatever, and the music's the same music you were listening to with that person, and the DJ reminds you of kind of that person because you used to share moments kind of in that environment, and everything's just kind of spooking you out, and it's all just haunted. And that's the kind of idea behind it. Chichinka, chichinka, kachinka. That kind of flavour to it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's that really. Go check it out. It's on Soul Hours. It's on Spotify.
Awesome.
Get in.
And it's not a secret. I've been telling you several times that I love you when I discover your music, when I meet you on the radio. I play your music in my truck because I make an hour and a half driving distance for my full-time job every day. I really enjoy it, and I love your voice, color, and your style and everything, and I have no doubt that more filmmakers will be playing your music in their feature films because your music has quality, very good quality music.
Yeah, I think it lends itself because, you know, the lyrical content as well can be kind of like, you know, I know what I've got going on in that, but I think you can use like tracks like Phenomenal, which is a great track. You know, again, my take on that record was all about kind of, you know, that was my tribute to sort of women who bring children up on their own through no fault of their own because they're left to get on with it. And I don't think there's anything like more powerful than that kind of being left in a situation where you've got to bring up another human being, you know, and you've got no support from anywhere. And when people do it and they do it really, really well, it's a phenomenal thing, you know, because they're bringing the next generation in under duress, but they're still doing it with, you know, with to be, you know, it's really brave. There's such a brave kind of side to that. So I just wanted to sort of, it was a tribute to single mums, really, to be fair. Do you know what I mean? So again, you know, that lends itself across the board to different areas. You know what I mean?
Awesome. And also, another song of you was played as a soundtrack for the film documentary, City of Hope. Can you tell us about?
Oh yeah. All right, cool. I've just got to put this one first. Yeah, City of Hope, amazing kind of project. That was really about two filmmakers from New York. Capriole Productions basically came up with they had met these two Americans that had gone down to the favelas in Sao Paulo, and they'd been given a piece of land in Sao Paulo, and they decided to sort of set a school up. And yeah, it was quite an incredible story, really, that they had limited amount of money, but they set this school up and it became really successful. And they were basically, the school was set up to educate kids from the favelas. And they were finding that sort of like these kids were going on and they were going out to be accountants and lawyers and really kind of like really hitting above their weight, if you like, do you know what I mean? And then going on to inspire other kids to kind of go and get an education. And it was really just about that. That was it. It was called the City of Hope, and it was really about giving kids hope. And it just shows you that sort of when you do give the support to a human being, you know, through education, through love, through compassion, through just, you know, support, altruistic, unconditional support, that miracles happen. You know what I'm saying? And these guys did that. So I was asked to do the soundtrack for it, which I was really pleased about. And I just, so I wrote that song. They gave me the brief. I wrote the song, recorded it in England, sent it back. They loved it, and and then it went. They did the documentary, and it went out. I think it went. They did Rain Dance or something with it. I think they did a few bits and pieces, and it did quite well. So so that was really the story, and it was just, again, I just found it really inspiring. I'm actually, to be fair, I don't really care where you're from, but I think if you're doing something on that level that's really changing kind of environments and lives, then I'm kind of into supporting that.
Mm-hmm. No, but what wonderful experience you've been on that, and also and your tracks has been landed #1 spot in rock radio stations around the U.S., playlists and TV stations in LA, NH2O in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah,
LA
Nashville
TV.
Music TV.
LA TV, which actually is a Latin station, believe it or not. It's actually a Latin station based in Los Angeles who picked up on a track. I think it was Night Stepper and Diamonds in the Shadows, and they supported that. And I'm just trying to think of all the radio stations that have kind of come on board as well. There was quite a few stations across the States that supported Night Stepper, Diamonds in the Shadows, and Phenomenal, I think, which is great because that was all off the new Kind of Normal album. I picked up a fair bit of plays, quite a lot of press as well. Very sort of thankful to stations in Los Angeles and New York and Seattle and Texas as well, across the board. I did this, I was just talking about this today, actually. I did this a US tour online, like when we were in the middle of this lockdown pandemic thing. And we were over here. And it was just kind of really cool. So I did this online virtual tour of America, which was kind of cool, man. And so I was literally having to dial into the different venues from Texas to, Texas kind of up to Los Angeles, and then over to Florida, and sort of like Wyoming, just kind of crazy, but it was just really cool to so it went on for about a week, just literally just doing kind of all these different venues, which was really cool. It was quite a cool experience to do this, and I'd do the show, which would be like, I don't know, 35 minutes or whatever. And then it was really cool because I'd just literally done this show, and then I just had a shower, had some food, and then sort of crashed out in front of Netflix. It was just brilliant. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like to do that, to tour America for like a week or two or whatever, would just be like planes and buses and this and that and the other. Here am I just touring literally from my studio. It was like happy days, mate. Low carbon impact. You know what I mean?
That's wonderful. And also, you were also on the cover of Hype magazine.
Yeah, I think we've been on the cover of a few things recently, the last couple of years. I think London FM put me on their covers. There was like Musical Express put me on their front cover. I'm just trying to think of the other ones. There's just quite a lot, so it's quite difficult to remember who's done what where. But I've picked up some good press support for the kind of last couple of projects. So yeah, I mean, I'm always kind of very, very sort of like, thankful when people pick up on stuff and whatnot. Do you know what I mean? But because the media is a funny old place, isn't it? Let's face it.
Exactly. And also, you're a book writer, and you have a book, Rolled Tales, and also the one called a lot to my attention is the night that Jimmy died, and the story how the girl was dying at the same she was close to face death in the same place that this musician has death. So something, a story they sold cross each other. Can you tell us more about the story of that book?
Yeah, sure. Night that Jimmy died was actually, it's based on a story of a girl that I know who was born in the same hospital on the same night as Jimi Hendrix dying. And I just had this idea. So I think we were sort of having dinner, And she told me this story, and I was just like, "That's pretty cool." And then I suddenly thought, "Well, wouldn't it be cool if, like, you know, their souls had crossed over, and like she was actually able to kind of like tune into Jimmy's spirit?" And so I started writing this book, and you know, it just went on from there. Well, actually, it started off as a short story, and then turned into a book, and yeah, so it just went from there, really. But yeah, it's quite interesting. To be honest with you, it's really about using music to create change, spiritual change, really. Do you know what I mean? It's like this, she works out a way of using frequencies to sort of restructure people's DNA, you know what I mean? So she's kind of reprogramming people from being it's almost like she's kind of trying to awaken people through music, but she's doing it using frequencies, like certain subliminal frequencies that, as I say, they sort of like, it's almost like it switches on a code within the DNA, and people suddenly wake up and realize that they've actually been brainwashed. Do you know what I mean? And there's sort of mass awakening, which doesn't really go down too well, so she gets kind of hounded, but she's a real absolute rock star hero. There's some great scenes in there. Make an amazing movie. I mean, if there's movie makers out there that want a story, there's just great scenes in there, you know what I mean? So yeah, buy the book, buy the rights, make the movie, I'll supply the music, and we'll have a hit.
Awesome. And also, but you're currently what is your current projects besides the Kusha Deep radio show, broadcasting several radio stations like a BBS, Radio Lumini, BTHFM UK, Rocksteady 94, and what are other projects besides of this you're working on?
At the moment, I'm working on a track, another EP. I had a track out that I was, well, it was going to go out like beginning of the year. I can't, some time goes so quickly. It was called No Time for Tears, which was a ballad sort of track. And that was really just about, you know, us kind of holding tight together and showing each other solidarity through sort of like, you know, pretty heavy times. But I've got another track that I'm just finishing off now called Cure for Jealousy, which is kind of more dance orientated. So I think I'm finishing off those two tracks and just getting them up to sort of scratch mastering wise. And then I will probably put that out for sort of July time. Probably shoot a video, I think, for Cure for Jealousy. I feel like shooting a really cool video for that. I haven't really got a concept for it, but I definitely feel like shooting something really cool. And that, to be honest with you, we're in the process of kind of moving. So I've been doing the house for like ages now, feels like forever. Sorting the roofs out and redecorating and making it all cool. There's a word in England that if anyone says kushti, it's like it's a little old kind of older word. But if somebody says that's really kushti, it's like making something really kushti. It means really good. So yeah, so I've been making the house really kushti. You know what I mean?
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. We will be having DAR.RA pretty soon and more interviews. And don't miss to follow us on YouTube and also on the Facebook page on Lapetina Presents and YouTube Angela Lapetina Presents. All right, and stay tuned. And also don't forget to follow us and also on our radio station shows in Radio Lumini, Rock Steady 94, and Tomorrow Radio. All right, stay tuned.
This is not communication, it's communion. Hundreds of thousands of people have claimed contact. That will change you. It changed me.
Lost in between two worlds and two dreams.
This was something that I kept buried for years. Strange things would happen. I didn't want anything to do with it anymore.
He came at me, and I fought for my life.
Ships started to pop up in the sky.
And there's this bizarre disk of light. And it is moving across the sky very fast.
The experience is often very terrifying.
If I felt fear, I would crawl under my covers, hoping that it would go away, whatever it was.
I know that we were put in that craft.
I knew I was going to go to another planet.
And the being was right next to my face.
He saw two shadow beings. That's when I felt like I was going to die.
I had a real encounter with something. Even if I had to live with the fear, is to know the truth, is to know.